Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a journey back to the ancient world to discover the majestic story of Prophet Idris. This isn't just any history lesson. It's really the story of the dawn of human intellect. It's the very foundation of structured society, and it's all centered around a man who acted as the literal architect of civilization itself. Okay, let's set the scene a bit. Picture this. Exactly a century has passed since the first father, ʻAdam, returned to his Lord. And the end of that first era, well, it left a pretty massive void. The world was grown in population, sure, but it was also growing cold. Truth was fading, almost like a shadow of moral decline was sweeping over the descendants of Qabil. We're looking at a society that's slipping away from its primordial purity and descending fast into confusion. And that really forces us to ask a monumental question, right? How do you build a civilization out of fading light? In this era of rising chaos and societal fracturing, Allah chose a man of profound wisdom to be the second link in the prophetic chain. Just one man, tasked with an impossible mission, bridging that massive gap between earthly chaos and a structured moral society. Section 1. The era after Adam, the earthly void. You see, the world wasn't just losing its spirituality, it was completely lacking the fundamental tools needed for human progress. What's absolutely fascinating about Prophet Idris is that his mission was, well, completely revolutionary. He wasn't just a guide for the soul. He was both deeply spiritual and groundbreakingly civilizational. As the second prophet after Adam, he stepped into a world that needed structure just as much as it needed faith. Section 2. The gift of the pen. Here's where we see a major shift from the dirt of moral decline to the soaring intellect of the human hand. Think about what life was like before him. Knowledge was literally just a fleeting whisper. It was an oral tradition, so it was easily distorted or completely lost to the winds of time. But Idris changed human history forever. How? By becoming the very first human to ever pick up a pen. He taught his people that words could be captured, preserved, and firmly anchored for the future. But here's the absolute crucial point. By inventing writing, he wasn't just, keeping mundane earthly records or tallying crops. No, he was using this massive leap in civilization to anchor the eternal message of Tawhid, the absolute oneness of God, right in the hearts of generations to come. The pen actually became the ultimate tool to combat the moral decline of his time. Moving into Section 3, Sowing Dignity and Craft. We elevate now from the intellect of the mind right to the physical dignity of the human body. Before Idris came along, humanity was basically just in pure survival mode, wandering around in the rough, unrefined skins of animals. But Idris introduced a brand new dignity to humanity. He was actually the first person to sew clothes. He replaced those animal skins with meticulously crafted garments, fundamentally shifting human existence from mere survival into an era of real, structured order. He showed his people that every single stitch is a lesson in excellence. A believer must seek beauty and order in both their spirit and their outward appearance. By doing this, he seamlessly connected craft with faith. He proved that the refinement of the soul should absolutely be reflected in the refinement of the world around us. Section 4. Mapping the Heavens. Now, our narrative lifts its eyes from the fabric in his hands upward to the sheer majesty of the cosmos. So, Idris looked to the skies, but not just with wonder. He looked with profound understanding. He was granted this deep, unprecedented knowledge of arithmetic and astronomy. He was out there tracking the movements of the stars and figuring out the precise patterns of the moon and the sun. And he didn't just study astronomy for the sake of science alone. He used those precise, unwavering patterns of the moon and sun to scientifically prove that the universe is not a place of chaos. It's a perfectly calculated masterpiece. It demonstrates that everything in existence submits perfectly to the laws of Allah. Section 5. Ascension to a high station. We've now reached the climax of his incredible lifelong dedication. You can really define Prophet Idris's life in these core steps. First, his tireless earthly service to civilization through writing and sewing. Second, his unwavering faith, which was backed by that profound cosmic knowledge we just talked about. And because of this constant, dedicated worship, Allah granted him a truly unique honor, lifting him step by step through his earthly achievements straight to a divine reward. As the Quran explicitly states in Surah Maryam, he was raised to a high station. Now, classical scholars interpret this as a literal ascension to the wonders of the fourth heaven. It's the ultimate completion of his journey, going all the way from the earthly void of a declining society right up into the divine presence. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? Idris remains this eternal symbol that faith and knowledge actually walk hand in hand. He taught humanity that science, craft, and writing aren't separate from religion. Actually, they're the ultimate expressions of worship when they're used to seek excellence. I want to leave you with a pretty provocative thought today. Look at the legacy of the architect of civilization. If worshiping Allah really means seeking excellence with our pens, our crafts, and our minds, what masterpiece will you begin building today? Think about how you can apply the profound legacy of Prophet Idris to your own pursuit of knowledge. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a new level of curiosity in your own daily journey.